Alright guys, had a lot of fun painting this. Quite a few hours, definitely quite a few hours put into it. But here are all the pieces finished up. And I'm about ready to peel off the plastic on the outside. I don't plan on doing any special cutting and like flat clear coating or anything yet on the outside of this guy, so I'm just going to go and peel the whole thing off. My GoPro batteries were all dead, so I didn't have any batteries to film myself peeling them off or explaining anything, but here it is, the final product. On the, I guess this is the right-hand side panel, I've got the Falcon tire logo. I honestly just forgot to cut out the tire. It's supposed to say tire there in black, but I just forgot to cut it out, so not a big deal. I decided to put both on the Falcon and on the Savix logo here. Savox, Savix, whatever. I decided to put those as the layer 2 color, and it turned out pretty good. And so there's the Savix logo, so this is the left-hand panel. You know, right here is where I pretty much had the most trouble. There's 3 different layers there, a bunch of cutting, and you can tell that it was hard to get the tape to stick in all those creases, but I feel I did pretty good. For my very first ever paint job, or RC car body paint job, but regardless, this is my first ever like paint job where I've tried to do any masking and layers just like this. And let me know what you think. I think I did alright. Obviously from the 10-foot rule it looks great, but as soon as you're sitting in front of it like me, I start getting pretty picky and going, oh man, that doesn't look that great, that doesn't look that great, but it still looks pretty dang good. Choice of the colors, you know, I just honestly wanted to go with something very visible. And something that just, you know, caught my eye and caught everyone else's eye real well. So I thought fluorescent green and pink was a good choice, and I tried to do a little something funky with this guy, this part of the Axial logo. I wanted to make it look kind of like this was between layer 2 and 4 technically, so it was like a 3rd layer, but then it was also attached to the top layer. Layer 1, but I didn't do a good enough job. Only that one spike kind of came up and touched it, and then I was going to put this green spike behind the black, and it would have made it look like it was actually kind of at an angle through behind there. Next time I'm going to do something like that a little more and see if I can get more of a 3D effect on an object where it looks like it's kind of angled through some obstacles or some of the layers, and see what happens. But so I like how it turned out, though. If you're questioning why some of the spikes aren't symmetric, it's because they're not supposed to be. I didn't want this whole thing looking 100% even left to right. Otherwise I'll start getting very nitpicky, and nothing is ever going to turn out perfect that way for me, I guess. And so you can see all the jagged edges on the snake here for the Castle Sidewinder logo. And those are supposed to be there if you're familiar with the logo. It's not a nice smooth edge. Yeah, so I decided to go with pink on there. I could have gone easily with green for the inside, but I just decided to go with pink on that. I was thinking about doing some sort of like flared color just right on the outside here, and possibly along these sides here, but I decided not to It would have helped that transition from the hood to the side panels, but I think it looks fine. Just a nice, simple, high contrast paint job. No, nothing super fancy. Just a lot of layering. And then yeah, on the I wanted to go with pretty much straight spikes, just kind of spooling out on the front and on the hood here. And then on the side panels, I actually did kind of want to get a little crisscross action going on, and I think it did turn out pretty great. Well, let's throw it on the XL and see how they look on the car. Maybe I'll try to talk a little bit while I put this together. So, I had quite a bit of fun throughout the build of this. Now, it probably took me longer than the average builder. I'll see right there, you can tell that that's bowed up. I'm going to have to do something about the holes there already, you can tell. Not the first slight modification I've had to make through the build, but 1 second, I'll go get my drill. Elongated the holes, so it should fit better now. Anyways, I had a lot of fun during the build. This was my first kit, like I said. I took my time, so it took me, a few nights of sitting here, taking my time, putting it together. It was a lot of fun though. And I guess the toughest part of putting it together was attaching the front bulkhead to the chassis pan here, and but other than that, it was all right. It's just, as anyone else has explained, it's a little difficult lining everything up there, and yeah, it took a lot of time, and I ended up having to shove a drill bit up in there and kind of wrench on it a bit and line stuff up, and yeah, it wasn't exactly fun, but not the way I like to do things, but I guess it worked. Elongation on this hole too. So the tires, I guess, are another thing. I guess maybe I didn't glue them well enough. They're the first ones I've glued, but I definitely glued them pretty good. I nearly used an entire, I can't remember how many ounces it is, but one of those, normal sized bottles of the IC2000 tire glue between all four of them. If you don't think that was enough, tell me, because I could have used more, I guess. But I think that was plenty of tire glue. But I'd say it's a heavy vehicle, and out there bashing and playing around, it kind of wants to rip the bead off no matter what. I did cut some foam out of the tires, so you can tell that it might want to roll the tire over a little easier, but I didn't want the tires to be too stiff. I like that extra cushion in case the tire slams into something, or when you're trying to grip on objects. But the only thing I've broken while I've been out so far is I've ripped the I guess the post mount. The screws just ripped right out of the shock tower, which, whatever, not a big deal. I just used some duct tape and held it on, so now I can't take it off real quick, but I'm going to fix that up with some longer screws here real soon. I guess the only thing I really have to complain about is, well, I won't really complain that much, but the drive shaft. The rear drive shaft was actually, it's not straight. It was actually kind of a little warped upon arrival, so I'm going to be calling Axial and getting that fixed. I have a Savix SA1230 SG servo in here, and out of the box, installing it in this guy, thought it was going to be a great servo, and I go out and go for my first run, and my buddy tells me that the servo screaming at me is telling me that the motor shaft on the servo isn't aligned properly or something. Anyway, something going on with that servo that wasn't good out of the box. So I'm going to have to get that servo replaced also, which not a big deal. Fairly easy for me to do. I have another one in my Yeti 380, which I'll explain later. I can't remember what the exact servo is. Here. It is a Savix. It's an SA1231SG that I have in my Yeti 380. And it sounds real nice and quiet. I don't hear anything. So definitely an issue with this one. Shocks are performing pretty well. I would like the front end to still sit a little higher. And I don't really want to increase the shock weight. I put 30 weight up front and 30 weight in the rear, and I think it's doing alright. But yeah, I don't really want to increase the shock weight anyway. I kind of like how it feels, plushness wise. I like that. It's just the front is just a little too low for me, and I want some stiffer shocks. Starting to question whether I put too stiff of shocks in the rear. Maybe I should just swap them out, but I'm pretty sure I did them right, you know. Got the right color in the right spot. So I'll just double check that in the manual here after I'm done. And you know, it's been performing very well. It's just that front end is just a little bit too soft for me. The GoPro sits very perfectly right on that like fuel cell, plastic fuel cell. It's awesome, and you get some great onboard footage. It just looks straight out the window. You can offset it a little bit so the GoPro lens is just directly in the center. I bet you've been questioning, or maybe you've been questioning, where are the dudes? You haven't painted up the dudes. Where are the dudes, dude? Well, I'm not gonna do the dudes. I have something special in mind, and you know, I'm not too fond of like necessarily needing people to be sitting in my RC car, but there's a chance I might 3D print a pretty sweet like very low profile custom cover for just that inner part, and go from there, see what happens. Alright guys, I hope you like the paint job. Here it is all together. I guess I can give you a little rotation here, but as you can tell, I work in quite a tight environment. I don't have a huge space to work in, but the Yeti XL makes it an even smaller space to work in. And you know, just because I had it in the store and I could get it right then and there, I just decided to go with the Castle Sidewinder 8th. And it's still a 2200 kV. It's still, I believe, the same size can and everything, 1515, or if that's what that means. And I'm not sure if the ESC is the exact same rating, though. That's the one thing I haven't really looked too far into yet. It's been performing very well for me. I run two 6.6 amp hour Turnigy 2-cell 90C batteries in series to get the 4-cell if I want to. I've ran them as a single battery in here just for a 2-cell, you know, low and slow experience, and just crawling around the trails for my first outing, and it was good. 4-cell's pretty awesome. You can jump, you get enough gyroscopic effect to get some in-air control, but if you do end up going too fast in the air, you don't have enough. Or if you are rotating fast enough, you don't really have enough wheel speed to alter your position. If you slam on the brakes, you can bring the nose down pretty easy. But if you are nosing down pretty good and you need to spin it back with 4-cell, and let's see, I honestly can't remember if I put a 12 or a 13 tooth pinion in here, but it's not the 15 stock. I don't plan on going that fast with this guy, and I just want a little more lower gear ratio, so a little easier on the motor and stuff for crawling around. But anyways, it's been performing great for me. I've tumbled it lots. I feel like honestly, I feel like it's real solid. I feel like it's got less torque than the 380 has. That chassis torque on the 380 is just crazy, but I know if I put a 6-cell in here, it also gets pretty crazy. The sway bar maybe is helping quite a bit as well. But if I don't have the sway bar on the 380, that front right tire is off the ground like at all times pretty much. So anyways, I really like it. Jumping, just maneuvering, sliding around it with the extra weight of the near 5th scale size vehicle, I guess, for what most people are saying. It's not quite 8th scale. It's awesome. If you're looking to get the Yeti XL, you owe it to yourself to get the kit with the upgrades that it comes with, because you'll just end up with a couple more perks here and there that you'll wish you had had if you went with the ready to run instead. Especially if you already have a radio on hand, because then you can just get yourself a spare receiver or pull a receiver out of a car you're not using, and you're just good to go right there. If you have other parts laying around like servos and other stuff that you're not using, that's an even added bonus to you. As for the paint job goes, just leave it up to your own creativity. I just decided to go with something a little bright and high contrast, like I was saying, so that it's just real visible when I'm out playing around. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe if you aren't already. Please leave all your comments down below. Let me know what you think of the paint job, and share it. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at RCBound, and so that's pretty simple. I used to have a different username, but now I'm all pretty unified. So yeah, thanks again. Like, dislike, and check back here in the near future, where I'm going to have another breakdown of my Yeti 380 and some other outings and jumping videos of this guy. I've already taken it out plenty. As you can maybe see, the tires are plenty dirty, and before I put the body parts on, you might have been able to tell that the inside's pretty dirty. Well, take it easy, guys, and hope you stay RC bound.